Go ahead. What do you feel? I mean, what do you feel when you hear about 1890? What are your feelings?
My feeling is that a great evil took place. Terrible that Americans could take advantage of each other in such a way, and what happened there just continued right up until this very day almost. It's not as bad, but it's a history that was pushed down, submerged. The whites never talked about it, and you talked to a lot of people that have no idea what happened down there. But it set the stage. What those people did, the conspirators, the secret nine, what they did was a blueprint for what happened in 1906 in Atlanta. Because literally the same thing happened. The newspapers built up a case that these blacks were doing such things, but what happened in Atlanta, they didn't get the banishment, and the blacks fought back in a different way down there than up here. So when you start killing each other, then that sort of calmed things down. But here, it was just a plain outright coup d'etat massacre. These people had no idea what was about to happen to them.
What's a coup d'etat? For people who don't know what a coup d'etat is.
Everybody in there knows what a coup d'etat is.
Tell them what it is.
It's the illegal overthrow of a legal government duly elected by the people. And someone said, I don't like it, and we will change it. Put our people in.
What is it that moves you to talk about 1890? I mean, there's several Manlys around. And you're the only one who has stepped forward. I mean, one of the goals of my organization is called the International Organization for Compensation and Reparations for the Victims of the Wilmington Race Riot of 1898. One of our purposes and one of our goals has been to locate the descendants of the victims of this race riot. And you have been one of the very few who have been vocal about it and who have come forth as if you don't have anything else to lose.
I have nothing else to lose. There's probably nothing to gain, but it's
what drives you? Oh, okay.
It's a story that should be told. Now, a lot of the Manlys have crossed over into the right race. Now, I've had a lady call me, and she said, I think I'm kidding you. And I said, why? She said, well, I'm a Manly. My grandfather was a Manly. And I said, well, are you white or black? And she said, well, I'm black, but you would never know it by looking at me. And she told me this story. She said her grandfather left Wilmington and went to Charleston, and probably married a mulatto woman there. And they had two children, two daughters. One looked like a white girl, and the other looked like an Indian. This man took the girl that looked white, and they disappeared. They don't know what happened to her. Never saw them again. So this woman that I talked to, she and her mother lived in. She apparently moved up north somewhere and lived her life for working life, and then she moved back to Charleston and found me on the internet and called me. I gave her whatever information there. The person she thought was her Ellis Manly's son was actually Ellis Manly's brother.
And what was his name?
I don't say it.
Okay.
That would be out of here.
Right.
Then I've had other Manlys call me and say, look, you ought to be quiet. We don't
really
talk about this.
What were their
the same reason. They said, you have other people looking at us and thinking we might be black, which we are. If the one drop rule holds supreme.
What about your father? Tell us about your father.
But my father basically might not know why he acted the way he did, but I think this had a profound effect upon him. His father must have told him something.
Right.
And he never was successful really in life. He worked eventually as an electrician in shipyards up in Boston. And Boston, Mass. He wasn't, as you call, someone that comes from the sort of background he came from. He should have done a lot better. His brother was just the opposite. His brother went to college, became a human resources director for the state of Pennsylvania, and retired out of Carleton.
He was Milo.
Yeah.
Okay. He was the one that was cited in the book that's called They're Taking the City. But they didn't mention your father.
No, they didn't.
Why not?
He was dead.
Okay.
So they interviewed Marlowe over and over, but even Marlowe said his father never discussed what happened in Rome.
And your father never discussed it, though.
But Marlowe is on record saying, no, my father was very quiet about it. Now the Saginaw family, the lady he married, Carrie Saginaw, the family did not want him to marry her because he was so light. They just anticipated a lot of trouble with her marrying somebody who looked like that. But in spite of that, they married her. But her father, little interesting story when she wrote her letter, she said he was apparently a slave of a man named Halsey, I believe. And this man taught him, they grew up together. So when Halsey went to school, whatever he learned that day, he would come back and teach him. Frederick Saginaw. And he worked in this woodworking shop or whatever, and he said he would write his lessons on the boards that he worked on. And then when his supervisor would come over and say, what are you doing? He would take his plane and plane it off, so his lessons ended up at his feet. So I'm thinking that these people must have protected him doing all of this, doing upheaval down here.
Was he their white or was he?
No.
Okay.
But he, by virtue of the fact, again, we're back to Chance Fagan, a person who was prepared. He ended up going to Lincoln University. They decided they'd look for young men in North Carolina who could read and write. And since he could read and write, he got a chance to go to Lincoln University for free. And he graduated and had a very intense curriculum there for these young guys, and came back to Wilmington and worked as an architect and carpenter and funeral director and a lot of other stuff. He flourished after all this took place.
What other books have you read about the Wilmington race riot of 1890?
Of course, we have taken this city as the definitive book as far as I'm concerned, because it covers, it's not naming who the secret 9 people were and all the other people, and it just showed that although it said blacks were ruling things, they weren't. The majority of the elected officials were white, but they just belonged to the wrong political party. They were Republicans. Had they been Democrats, it wouldn't have been a coup d'etat.
What else have you read?
I read Helen Edmonds' book, Fusion Politics and Reconstruction, North Carolina, and I read your book.
Anything else that you read that was related to anything from Saving It For You?
I read that, but I hate to say it, in that book, John O. Franklin, he gave one sentence to the Wilmington Massacre in that book.
You call it a massacre, why? Why do you call it a massacre?
Well, Reverend Kurt said he saw over 100 bodies lying around when they ran him out of town. And as you said, the buzzers were circling around for days.
Yeah, I say it all the time.
Yeah. So it was just innocent people being shot down. They said when they went, well, one other interesting thing about 1898 is that during the Spanish-American War, 4 or 5 southern states sent black troops down to fight in Cuba. And North Carolina was one of them. They sent these people down there. They sent white troops and black troops. They brought the white troops back just before this happened and left the black troops down in Florida. So when they went around town, they had a Gatling gun, which is the precursor of the machine gun that we know today. And they even went to a church with a cannon because someone said the blacks had secreted guns in there. And they said, open the door so we want to see where the guns were. And to show you that blacks really had no friends, they said somebody tried to order some guns from up north. And the manufacturer up north alerted the people down in Wilmington and says, somebody's ordering Winchesters to come down to some blacks in town. So the northern whites didn't care about blacks, and the southern whites didn't care about blacks. So I always say that the Civil War freed the slaves and Reconstruction freed the poor white man. Because the jobs that the blacks used to have, then they gave it to the ones that the free whites could handle. That was the end. So no matter how skilled you were, We don't want it. And the people they ran out of town were not riffraff. They ran out the leaders. It looked almost like they also had a blueprint for the Nazis in Germany, because when they went to Czechoslovakia, the first thing they did was get rid of the intellectuals, the doctors, or whatever. They did the same thing in Russia. What's it got? Anybody who was learning, will keep you dumb, we'll work you to death, and then we just keep replacing.